is a fan belt replacement on a Doosan DX 255. So what you're gonna need to do is the tensioner is on the alternator. So you gotta back off the jam nuts here, and then you can use this nut to drive the alternator in to get the belt off the alternator. But then the issue that you're gonna have is that the belt is wrapped around the fan and the shaft. So you gotta undo the fan, and on the back side of the fan, if you reach your hand in here, there's 4 12mm nuts, or actually they're bolts, they're long bolts. They run the whole length of the shaft. And what you can do is you can use a mini, I'm using a mini, what the hell is it? It's right here. This is a flex head, 1/4 inch drive. So it can actually twist in there, and I was able to knock them loose. And all you gotta do is loosen them so that you can get the fan out and out of the way, and you'll be able to get that belt right off the shaft. So once you've got those 4 long bolts backed off, that'll expose the crank pulley, and then you can just get your belt right off if it's still intact, and you're good to go. Now you can put your new one on. But it's kind of a pain in the ass. You gotta take that guard off, and then you gotta sneak your hand in behind the fan there and undo those, but it can be done, and that's how you gotta do it. So then once you've got that all undone, you'll be able to route your new belt. I started on the bottom, got it on that bottom pulley up past the fan, and then routed it, and it's just loose. What I'm gonna do next is put the fan back on the pulley there and tighten the fan back up. Something very important that you're gonna wanna pay attention to is that on the pulley that the fan belt gets bolted into, you need to have that perfectly oriented for the bolts to go back through, because the pulley can rotate, and once it's rotated, your bolts won't be lined up with the threads because they're on the back side of the pulley, not the front. So if you spin that, you're not going to get your bolts through. So make sure, I took one out and tested it to make sure it was lined up before I put the fan back on, because if you put that back on there and then you're trying to thread those bolts in, you're just going to be reaching around, you're going to be trying to tighten it, and it's not going to tighten into anything because it's not going to line up. So that's one frustrating thing about this. But other than that, you can get your hand behind there. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. And then just retighten up your belt. I used like the 90-degree rule on the tension, and mine was squeaking, and I had some issues with my AC belt. So I disconnected that one the other day just to confirm that it was the fan belt that was bad. So I'm gonna take a moment now and put my AC belt back on, and then I should be all set here. But just a little bit of a pain in the ass job, but I think I would rather take the time to do it today than wait for it to snap. So glad it's done.